CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. It was a recipe for disaster. And today, disaster struck. The wind and near record warm temperatures have created tinder dry conditions on the prairies. And this afternoon, firefighters across southern Alberta are combating several large grass fires. The province has issued an emergency alert to deal with the fires west of Fort Macleod and near Nanton. Highway 2 south of Granham was closed earlier this afternoon as well. Some residents in the MD of Willow Creek have been evacuated. Our coverage tonight begins northwest of Fort Macleod, where the fire began around noon. Terry Vogt reports.
Firefighters, public works crews, and local farmers work frantically to plow up and beat down the flames. But with the wind gusting over 80 kilometers per hour, new fires spring up 50 meters downwind, jumping gravel roads, even the 4-lane highway. For those in its path, there was only time to bundle up the kids, try to move their animals to safety.
And we went to go out the garage and the fire was right there, so we had to run out the other way and try to find a vehicle to get into. This one.
Yeah, they told us to get out straight away. So we had driven down to the Spring Point Road, but it's blocked because there was fire trucks there already, and so we just came home and I grabbed a few things and came.
Ailsa Kotke's husband headed into the smoke to try and water down their yard and help in any way he could. She now waits, watching for glimpses of their farm buildings through the thick clouds of smoke. Several area Hutterite colonies have also been going from farm to farm, helping to move horses and livestock.
And we know all the guys around here, they're our neighbors, so we figure we come check it out, see if they need any help, and we evacuated this farm over here. There's a bunch of horses there. We got them out and a bunch of saddles and saddle stuff. Now we're just trying to get back in here to help this guy. We know him very good.
Evacuation centers have been set up in both Fort Macleod and Claresholm for people living in the path of this fire. But right now, many of those people are working frantically to save their livestock or try and protect their property. Terry Vogt, CTV News, near Fort Macleod.
Evacuatory orders are in effect for those living in parts of the MD of Willow Creek along Township Road 9, ranges 26 and 27, Township 10, ranges 25 and 26. Residents of Township Road 100 who live north of Township Road 100 are to go to Claresholm Community Centre, and those living south of the Township Road 100 should go to the Fort Macleod Community Centre. Now, a fire truck that was responding to the fire flipped on its way to the scene. The truck was from the MD of Willow Creek and was traveling along Range Road 241 when it tipped over. Emergency crews responded to the crash. 2 firefighters were taken to the Chinook Regional Hospital and treated for unknown injuries. Now, there is a second fire burning. That one is south of Nanton. RCMP haven't released details how the blaze started. We have heard that snapped power lines started a fire at a home. Some of our viewers say that they saw power lines coming down along the road. Strong winds are making it hard for firefighters to contain it. At least one house on an acreage outside of the community has burned down. Our Daryl Rummold is at the scene and joins us by phone. Daryl, what's the latest?
Well, it's quite a large size fire. It's burning about 2.5 kilometers south of the town of Nanton and burning in a completely opposite direction. So the town isn't threatened at this point. There is 2 confirmed structure fires, and another property has been completely leveled. There's a great deal of grass that's been torched as well. And right now, RCMP are obviously working on containing the area, and we don't know anything about power at this point, but we do know that they are going to be speaking to us a little bit later on, and hopefully we'll have an update for you a little later on in our news at 6.
Okay, thanks, Daryl. Nanton RCMP are updating media right now, and we will have the latest on our CTV News at 5:30 and 6. And there is also a fire burning west of Medicine Hat. A large grass fire is burning near the community of Walsh along the Alberta-Saskatchewan border. We have few details at this time, but we have heard the fire has crossed the border into Saskatchewan. While the warm, windy weather means a growing list of municipalities are issuing fire bans. Now, the city of Lethbridge has also issued a fire ban. Yesterday, the county of Lethbridge issued a ban. That list also includes the county of Warner and MD of Willow Creek. That means all open fires are off limits. All active fire permits are also canceled, and no new permits will be issued until further notice. And those trademark Lethbridge winds are once again wreaking havoc. Strong gusts toppled the semi-truck this morning. It happened about 3 kilometers north of Highway 3 on Highway 23. RCMP say the driver had just about come to a complete stop when a gust pushed it onto its side, completely blocking northbound lane. The driver was transported to Chinook Regional Hospital. The extent of his injuries aren't yet known. Not surprisingly, wind warnings are in place for pretty much all of southwestern Alberta tonight. Winds could gust up to 120 kilometers per hour. Crow's Nest Pass, Pincher Creek, Waterton Lakes National Park, as well as Cardston, Fort Macleod, McGrath, Claresholm, Lethbridge, Tabor, Milk River, Vulcan, and Brooks are all on that warning tonight. Let's talk about that wind, Dory. That wind is going to be around until the weekend and pretty strong, too.
Absolutely, and tonight the winds, as you mentioned, we could see gusts of 120 kilometers per hour. That's because the warm front is trying to exit the province. We got to 15 degrees today. Lots of records were broken. Not ours. Ours wasn't a record, but the winds were very strong. It's being followed by a cold front, and of course you don't get any break in between these frontal systems moving across, and with the cooler night air, winds could pick up a little bit, and as you mentioned, 120 kilometer gusts overnight tonight, so it's not over yet, Jackie.
Okay, thanks, Dory. More weather is coming up. Meanwhile, a race for the PC nomination in the Little Bow constituency is heating up, with 3 high-profile candidates announcing plans to seek the nomination. Picture Butte farmer and businessman John Kolk is the latest to enter the race, which will be decided at a nomination vote on January 28th. Kolk has served 3 terms on County of Lethbridge Council and has been a member of numerous provincial and national boards. Coaldale Mayor Kim Craig and County of Lethbridge Deputy Reeve Henry Dover also intend to seek the nomination. Incumbent Tory MLA Barry McFarland announced in November that he would not be seeking re-election. McFarland, who was first elected in 1992, is Southern Alberta's longest-serving MLA. Alberta's agriculture minister is heading south of the border to promote our industry to Canada's largest trading partner. MLA for Livingstone Macleod Evan Berger will attend an ag meeting and summit in Washington, D.C. this week. The annual event brings together U.S. state legislative chairs, provincial ministers, and elected officials. They'll be discussing the agri-food industry. This year's summit deals with growing world food demand, food safety and traceability, and the U.S. Farm Bill and Food Modernization Act. Berger will meet with U.S. representatives to discuss trade relations and co-host a summit breakfast event with the Canadian Consulate General and Agri-Food Canada. Well, a 16-year-old Lethbridge boy recovering from a stroke is exceeding doctors' expectations. It's been a year since Matthew Onofrychuk suffered a severe stroke that left him unable to walk, talk, or use the right side of his body. Alicia Philberg met with the teen and his family to see how he's doing.
Matthew Onofrychuk is busy being a teenager again.
PlayStation. That was a big thing for him, he was a pretty big gamer before. He's spending more time than he should on the PlayStation, but at the same time, it's almost therapy for him.
A year ago, the 16-year-old was in a medically induced coma in Calgary's Children's Hospital after suffering a massive stroke. He spent 3 months there before returning home to Lethbridge to start the slow recovery process.
They didn't really give us a lot of hope, given the severity of his stroke. And they told us that in all likelihood he wouldn't walk, that he wouldn't talk, and given the location of the stroke, that he wouldn't understand us at all either.
Matthew's already made more progress than doctors expected. He's walking using his right side and is able to communicate. He attends high school in the mornings, stroke therapy sessions in the afternoons, and goes to physio 3 times a week.
He's not just somebody who's had a stroke. He's a survivor and a thriver. Like, he's been keeping a positive attitude about this the entire time.
I'd hazard to say that his marks are better now than they were before. I think that's because he has to focus on his schoolwork and he doesn't have all the outside distractions.
The type of stroke Matthew had strikes randomly. There are no risk factors or warning signs. His parents want others to know that strokes don't only affect adults.
It can happen to anybody. Matthew's a prime example of that. He was a 15-year-old, healthy, athletic young man who one day was affected by this.
Throughout Matthew's recovery, the community has rallied around the family, hosting fundraisers to help cover medical and travel costs and supporting them through this life-changing experience.
Most of all, the moral support and from everyone has been truly a blessing, and We can't thank people enough.
Matthew says the community and family support has been very important to him and continues to boost him as he works at his goal of a full recovery.
He keeps fighting, and as long as he fights, we'll support him. We'll do whatever it takes.
Alicia Fieldberg, CTV News, Lethbridge.
And Matthew's returning to Calgary Monday to get brain scans for his one-year follow-up appointment. The University of Lethbridge bookstore is offering students the chance to save some money this semester. This is the second year the bookstore has offered the textbook rental program. Students have a few choices when purchasing their class books. They can either buy new, used, or rent new or used. The cost difference between buying a new book and renting a used book can save them over $100 per book. Not all books are available to rent. This year, students also have the option of renting to own, that they can decide at the end of the semester if they want to pay the cost and keep the book.
We've changed the way that we handle the returns. As I mentioned, they can do a rent to own, which is a huge savings to them. They pay pretty well half of it at the beginning, then they pay the other half at the end of term. So when you're looking at a book that you need to keep in your reference library, it's really helping those students out.
During the first year of the program, U of L students saved more than $50,000 by renting their textbooks. And some local musical acts are putting their voices behind the food bank's needs. A special benefit concert being held at McKillop United Church comes at the perfect time for the food bank, which has seen their stock run low over the holiday season. Musical guests for the evening include local band Moon Dancer, Sheldon Arve, and David Mikulak. A few local celebrities will also be auctioning off, including Alderman Jeff Carlson, Police Chief Tom McKenzie, Mayor Ray Kododik, and, well, our very own Terry Vogt.
Our need continues year-round, and so we're really hoping that the community will continue to support us throughout the year. Even though we just had the big Christmas rush, we're very grateful for the support that we received, but we do need that to continue through the rest of the year.
Admission to the concert is $10 or a donation of 10 pounds of non-perishable food for the local food banks, and all proceeds will be shared by the Lethbridge Food Bank and the Interfaith Food Bank. Coming up, here's a look at how the markets wrapped up the day.